to another episode of Brock Talk Sports, yo, where we really don't watch sports, we just comment on the sports, but like the playoffs is here and still probably not gonna watch a game, but we be watching the highlights and shit. But I gotta hear what this nigga be talking about.
Over the past couple of days, there's been a lot of really great basketball, but of course, the game that everyone is discussing has to be the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets. Two teams that have a bit of a lopsided history with one another over the past 2 to 3 years, as the Denver Nuggets have been dominating the Lakers. However, this go around, there was a different outcome on Saturday night, as the Lakers probably got their first demonstrative win against this team in quite some time, 123-100. And of course, going into this match,
okay, it's a whole new team. It's a whole new team. It's not like we not gonna sit here and talk about it's a lopsided because the Denver Nuggets win all the time and all of a sudden like, oh, they got their first win. Like, you added the second best player in the NBA and teamed him up with what most people call a top five number one player all time. And now it's like, oh, shit switched up. Like, if you try to give any of this to Jj Reddick, it was close games before they had Nikola Jokic or Luka, and now they got a dub by 20-some points. Cool.
A lot of questions and concerns for a Lakers team that was already thin in the front court, but became even thinner post the AD and Luka trade. And if you were already dealing with some problems and struggles guarding Jokic and the Nuggets, a much bigger front line.
You don't really guard Jokic. Even like, what do you do? It's not like, hey, how can we guard Jokic? That's not what teams are really saying. I don't think. I think it's more so like, how can we just, in a sense, slow him down? So right now he's playing the Clippers. Zubac, first team all defense probably. Jokic putting up 27. Now Zubac, Jokic did have 7 turnovers though, but still, it's tough when you playing the whole game. It's tough when you only get one rest in the second quarter for 5 minutes and then you playing the whole game. And it's mentally draining too when your teammates is sitting there crying on the ground. Look, literally Jamal Murray literally fell on the ground, looked to see if it was a turnover, and then grabs his shoulder. Like, and then you feel like you gotta be Superman, so then you're doing some extra ass shit. So like, okay.
Before the trade, what exactly was this team going to look like after the trade? And add on top of the fact, we were talking about a Nuggets team that was on a 9-game winning streak. So of course, many people went into this matchup with their reservations on what exactly the Lakers were going to look like defensively. However, the reservations for the Lakers, or at least predicting what they're going to look like, expand way longer than just this matchup. See, as we all know, the Lakers during the offseason and even last year's deadline did not make any alterations to this roster. The only change that they made to the unit was firing head coach Darvin Ham and bringing in Jj Reddick. Now, of course, there was a lot of skepticism and criticism with that decision, in large part due to the inexperience of JJ and many people.
Didn't they have a pretty similar record up until like the trade deadline almost, or like the first some more games? I had to check, but
just believing that Ham was fired unjustifiably, and that skepticism reached new heights early on in the season after a miserable loss against the Miami Heat, and Jj Reddick effectively coaching this team to the exact same record that Ham was coaching them in the year prior. However, since that bad loss against Miami, and that was on December 4th, the Lakers have completely turned things around. Since then, the Lakers have had a near 115 offensive rating, which is top 10 in the NBA leading up into this matchup against the Denver Nuggets, a 110 defensive rating, which is 4th in the NBA within the sample size, and a net rating of 4.5, which is near top 5 status as well. And in particular, in the 15 games leading up into this Denver Nuggets matchup, the Lakers had a top 5 net rating with a top 10 offense and the best defense in the NBA with a defensive rating of 107.5. Now, to be fair and transparent, these numbers may not be the best representation of who the Lakers were, especially because some of these games do consist of Anthony Davis, and also the opposition in this 15-game sample size wasn't the greatest. However, the Lakers were going to receive their first true challenge going up against a Denver Nuggets team where, again, they were going to have to survive Jokic without Anthony Davis. And not only did they pass with flying colors, but there is a lot of hope moving forward on what exactly this team was going to look like, even without a defensive anchor in AD and adding a somewhat negative defender in Luka Doncic. And I say somewhat because the way that Luka was playing defense defense in this game does leave a little bit of hope for a lot of people. Now, offensively, I don't really think there was any question on what exactly the Lakers were going to look like against the Denver Nuggets. Make sure Austin Reeves abuse his matchup because there's not too many teams in the NBA. They're going to have an answer on the perimeter for LeBron, then Luka, and then whoever the third best defender is probably not going to be able to guard Reeves. 3-point shooters, knock down your shots because you're going to get a lot of open looks due to LeBron and Luka out there. But more importantly, with Luka replacing AD, it was going to be significantly easier to take advantage of the weaknesses of the Denver Nuggets defense, in particular, putting Jokic in every single action as possible and taking him away from the rim, having him play at the perimeter. That's something that they completely cooked on, and also transition play was very easy. However, the big question, of course, was what his team was going to look like defensively against Nikola Jokic, and boy, did they sure did sell out on him. The Lakers were constantly fronting Jokic, knowing that it was going to be difficult for perimeter players to throw entry passes, and even when they did throw entry passes, immediately rotating backline help to double Jokic to make it harder for him to make certain reads, and this even meant leaving players wide open, completely open. The Lakers, without a doubt, game plan was, we will live with Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon knocking down threes, which, to be fair to both of those players, they did. Aaron Gordon was great effectively from start to finish, and Russell Westbrook had a really good stretch in the second half that made things slightly interesting for like 2 or 3 minutes. However, for every made three or made shot from Russ and Aaron Gordon, there were twice as many possessions where the Nuggets' entire identity was just completely blown up due to the amount of players that were being thrown at Jokic, even before he touched the ball. The Lakers would double Jokic as soon as he touched the ball and have weak side baseline help rotate on the dunker, leaving a weak corner shooter wide open, and again, we're living with the results. When the Nuggets rotated Christian Brown off the floor in replacement for Russ, they would roam off of Russ, and even Luka got into action playing passing lanes and forcing a turnover. They would double Jokic off the ball multiple times, and again, was willing to live with the results. And there's even multiple times where they just swarmed him completely, throwing multiple bodies at him. Best example of this happened chest-to-chest defense with Jokic from the half-court line all game long when he wasn't bringing the ball up. As soon as Rui got caught up in the screen, Reeves immediately shifted over and started to bump Jokic as well in an attempt to impede his positioning. And then right after that, Rui threw himself right in front of Jokic in the attempt to fronting him. But as soon as that happened, you can see on the back line, Reeves is preparing for the double. Dorian Finney-Smith is sagging off of Russ for the entry pass, and Jackson Hayes is already rotating on Aaron Gordon, pivots to something, and smothering Jokic, having execution, and you can clearly see it. As soon as Jokic hits a triple team, Rui again can, even when he gets it, he sees multiple bodies, which then results in.
I'm not understanding. Like, is most teams not doing that? I don't understand. Jj Reddick transformed the Lakers. I think Nico Harrison transformed the Lakers. What did he do? Chest to chest. That's not the first team that's been playing Jokic like that. Double and triple teaming Jokic off the ball.
Very aggressive fronting, made some turnovers, picked up a lot of.
Jj Reddick transformed the Lakers is crazy. It's crazy. Still gonna get first round knocked out the playoffs. What type of transformation are we talking about? Like, actually.
Also, he played a small amount of time, but shout out to Vandal as well because he's always feisty. When it was all said and done, Jokic finished the night with only 12 points, 10 assists, 13 rebounds, 6 turnovers, and shot 2 for 7 from the field and 8 for 10 from the free throw line. But yes, 2 for 7 from the field. The player that has ran away with multiple MVPs over the past handful of seasons, the player that I would call the greatest, or at least at bare minimum in conversations to be the greatest offensive player in NBA history, finished this game with only 7 shot attempts. And it wasn't for lack of trying. It was just multiple bodies being thrown at him and forcing him to not just be a passer, but only give him the weakest viable option possible.
But why the title though? What does Jj Reddick have to do that? Any coach is gonna do that when your second option is Jamal Murray taking up $50 million, $40 million, and you got Michael Porter Jr. crying about goofy injuries, and you got not big threats.
Never seen the Lakers sell out this much on.
But Russ a dog though, and AG, and MPJ, and Jamal Murray, they all dogs, and Christian Brown, they all dogs. But I don't understand. You lose one game by 23 points. LeBron had to keep his little 10-point streak alive, and it's like, oh, the teams have figured out LeBron. It's like, motherfucker just scored 10 points one game. We're gonna get back to the drawing board and drive some shit up. It's not, nobody transformed the Lakers.
One player under any coach over the past 2 to 3 years.
The Lakers ain't gonna get transformed as long as LeBron's still there. They got the last ring they're going to get while LeBron there.
So, shout out to Nikola Jokic. This is a medal of honor. Every all-time great offensive player gets defended this way. 2 to 3 bodies being thrown at him. So, you're now in conversations with peak Steph, peak LeBron, peak Shaq. Like, you're in those conversations. So, shout out to you. However, I don't want people to leave this game believing that Jj Reddick and the coaching staff, they've been waiting 2 to 3 months for this game. They marked the game on this calendar, and they only schemed for this team. And I don't know how they did it, but it ain't an answer for anything else, because that's not true either. The biggest reason why the Lakers have become the #1 ranked defense over the past month of basketball is due to the evolution of Jj Reddick and his coaching staff defensively. Early on this season, if you watch the Lakers, the biggest complaint that anyone should have had that this team was way too switch dependent, and you can clearly see that early on against the Denver Nuggets in the second half. They just relied way too much on switching, a lot of confusion, a lot of players not knowing what they needed to do and not on the same page, and it was pretty often that they just allowed back-to-back easy looks at the basket.
So from early on in the year, they were fucking up when Jj Reddick was the coach. And he tried something new, and it's working. So did Jj Reddick transform his coaching style? Or did Jj Reddick transform the Lakers? I thought the Lakers just won a championship 4 or 5 years ago. The Lakers still made it up. Did they make it up the first round last year?
But a lot of it...
And just remember, Luka beat the Timberwolves with Kyrie. Daniel Gafford nice, all them boys nice, but they ain't all that. Luka opens up a lot of that for them. All that go to the hoop and dunk, all that Blake Griffin, all that, hey, I'm getting double teamed, you go catch this lob city, bitch. Cool. If Luka beat the Timberwolves last year with the Mavs, and now he has LeBron James, and he probably not going to beat them, and the Timberwolves lost one of their franchise best players, he's sorry too. He getting done up by Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris over, yes, nigga. Karl Anthony Towns and Jimmy Butler couldn't keep the shit sinking, couldn't keep the shit floating in Minnesota. And now y'all gone, and Tobias Harris is out here fucking putting up more points in the playoffs than probably both of y'all, so stop playing.
To do with just way too much switching, and the Lakers being way too comfortable with this idea of allowing one player to defend Jokic or not sending multiple bodies at him even before he touched the ball. And you can go back and watch that game. There are moments where they are fronting Jokic, but there just isn't any backline help. There's no backline rotation whatsoever. It's just allowing Jokic to go one-on-one. And even when they do send help, back in the early stage of the season, they were sending help at the top of the key. So the rotation would come one pass away, and then you would rotate from one player to the next. And for most teams, that would work out pretty well. But against the Nuggets, they practice that type of defensive rotation from the opposition.
Nasty.
So almost every single time, even when that occurred, they could still get a quality look because players knew where to cut, they knew where to elevate to rotate, and counterparts to the defense rotating as well. But just overall, way too much switching in a general sense. And this has also been seen in other games. Another great example of this was against the Clippers not too long ago, where Big Zoo had an amazing game just because the Lakers were switching way too often. He wasn't dominating Anthony Davis. It was just that AD would get switched, be put on the perimeter, and Zubac would go crazy on the offensive glass and get easy looks, or he would just sky hook smaller players because AD is being overextended and being put on the perimeter. However, over the past month of basketball, the coaching staff has made significant alterations to their identity. Now, I'm not 100% sure when it started per se, but I do vividly remember the time that I easily noticed it was against the Boston Celtics, where the Lakers were very aggressive with their fronting and fighting for a position. But the reason why they were so comfortable in doing so is because they knew they had backline help as the rotation was coming from behind the action instead of the front of the action. This helped out significantly, even when a smaller players such as a Max Christie or Austin Reeves was fighting against a Porzingis, Tatum, or Jaylen Brown, where AD was rotating back line and leaving the weakest continue to go down this path. They tried it again against the Golden State Warriors, where not only the best example leading into this outing was against the New York Knicks, where without Anthony Davis, they double teamed and swarmed Karl Anthony Towns relentlessly. And even when moments when they didn't double team him, again, when they sent the rotation or they sent the help, it was always backline. So when Towns was trying to turn into a move, he was immediately met with someone else at the rim or shot because again, it's way more difficult to read where it's easier for the big man to see what's going on. And that's effectively how they've improved Jokic. Principles, the schemes, those are all things that they've been trying out over the past month. They've been way more experimental, trying different things, getting away from overly depending on switching, especially with Anthony Davis overextending. That is just
bro, is bro getting paid by Clutch and all they represent? I don't know. I'm asking y'all. Like, I don't know. I'm asking. Because what are you talking about, bro? Like, what are you actually saying?
Better executions, better schemes, and that's something that where I could really and truly ask the credit to the coach. Now, this is the part of the video.
The coach.
Where I could get nasty and ask the question, why did y'all stop counting the record, right? Early on the season, everybody wanted to count, oh, this is what Darvin Ham was doing at this part of the season, in contrast to JJ.
Don't be ugly, bro. Like, don't be ugly, bro. We were comparing the same team with the same team. Darvin Ham probably would have done more with Luka.
So y'all ain't gonna sit here and say, y'all can't say it was Darvin Ham's fault. I could be nasty and show you the records now, as Jj Reddick is clearly coaching his team to the best regular.
What the are we talking about, bro? Like, what are we actually saying, bro? What are you saying, bro? How? How do you actually say that shit out loud? Like, you seem like you watch basketball, bro. Coming from a dude who don't watch no basketball, literally just knows, like, what the news be saying and has to decipher that shit and sees highlights and studies the sports reporters. So I listen to you, people on this side, and listen to people on the other side. I hear it all. But I don't understand how you could be like, I could get nasty and say that I could get nasty and say that we could compare records. Nigga, what? It's a different team. I think Davis is literally injury prone, bro. Even if he ain't, bro. Luka single-handedly damn near took the motherfucking Mavs to the finals, bro. In the West. In the West, bro. In the big, bad, almighty West. And now it's Luka beat a team that was nice. 3 teams that was nice. Now it's, well, Darvin Ham didn't do this. Darvin Ham didn't have this record. I could get nasty and compare. It's not the same comparison, bro. Everybody compared because the Lakers didn't make no moves in the offseason. Besides signing some goofy second-round picks and shit to crazy-ass, goofy-ass contracts, undeserved.
Season that they've seen since the championship run, but I'm not going to do that. I could show you clips.
You're not going to do it because it won't make no fucking sense.
Multiple clips of everyone trashing LeBron and Rich Paul and even Anthony Davis. All the Clutch clients got together and kicked out Darvin Ham to bring in LeBron's best friend, his podcast buddy, Jj Reddick. I could do that. I could be...
Do it. Do it and then see what people got to say.
Nasty and
I could shit on everything you're saying. I could, but I'm not going to do that. I could shit on, like, all these points you trying to make to try and uplift Jj Reddick's coaching and uplift the Lakers and try to diminish Darvin Ham, what he did with that sorry-ass team that didn't have no fucking bench help, that didn't win. But I ain't going to do that.
And show multiple clips of people losing their mind about Jj Reddick early on in the season, how inexperienced.
I could show clips of you losing your fucking mind trying to make a fucking narrative that Jj Reddick's that nice when he's really not. You got 2 of the best players in the league all time. LeBron and Luka will go down in history. Luka already is doing shit that Michael Jordan and LeBron didn't even do. So a lot of people, about 50% of the population, I say, maybe even more now, maybe 51, think LeBron's the best player to ever play the game. Luka's doing shit 5 first-team All-Pros in 5-6 years before he's 25 years old. You got them 2 on the same team, bro. Everybody in the NBA is a hooper. So it really don't matter who your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th is. You got Austin Reeves, nasty. You got hoopers. These Austin Reeves will go somewhere else and put up buckets. Roy Hachimura, all these people will go out there and really contribute. But now it's...
I do that as well, but I'm not going to. A huge reason why is because, A, I'm trying
Troll.
to get better, but more importantly, I think that comparing Jj Reddick to Darvin Ham or any other narratives early on this season, we're so far beyond that point, it's not really worth my time.
Are we though? Are we though? Are we though? Because if Jj Reddick had a similar record as Darvin Ham with the same team, but then got a better record once he got a better team, wouldn't you think Darvin Ham would have had a better record? If Jj Reddick don't make it out the first round and Darvin Ham made it to the second round, is it better?
You should leave.
I don't give a damn if you sign Jokic, Luka, motherfucking re-sign LeBron, and then you re-sign. If you don't get out the first round, what the are you talking about?
This video, or at least leave this season, knowing that Jj Reddick is an amazing coach. A coach with no...
Everybody in the NBA is an amazing coach. Even awful coaching, pointing this shit out, these are still good coaches. Amazing coaches. Are they amazing compared to other people in the NBA? Is everybody in the NBA is an amazing basketball player? Can I still point out shit at their games that they did trash compared to everybody else where they look like they're goofy? Yes. That's how pro sports works. The margins is slim. Everybody's goated.
experience.
Everybody's the best player from their high school. Everybody's the best player from their hometown, probably even from their state. Everybody came out, I'm the best player in my state. Unless, you went to a school with another who was like that.
Podcasting has made massive strides in its first season, and that should be recognized and acknowledged by everyone. But
No.
those are my thoughts.
No.